Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So today what I'm going to be going over is going to be, if you guys have been on the channel for a while, you might have noticed I did Fist of the North Star content a while back. Now, that content primarily revolved around power scaling and who would win in Fist of the North Star versus each other, fighting discussion and stuff. And Fist of the North Star, even though it's shonen, it's not like most mangas where there's a clear power gap. Characters earlier in the series could still take on characters later on in the series. So that was nice and that made it really fun. That was a fun discussions and such. Now, I want to say like 6 months ago, because they just did their halfway anniversary recently, they released a mobile game called Fist of the North Star Legends Revive, as you can see right down the screen. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun to go over the characters in this game. Not all characters will be done in this game, just one character per video. And sort of assess them based on lore and accuracy to the actual in-universe Fist of the North Star power scaling to see, how accurate they got. Now, I will preface by saying that I'm not going to go over every character because I'll show you the roster right now. We'll be using my level 73 accounts for the to go over the characters. Like, for example, Colonel. I might do Colonel at some point, but honestly, I don't remember that much of Colonel, so I'd have to go back and reread the manga and rewatch the anime. I should be trying to get the manga again, but I can't find it. Oh, a little tidbit that kind of annoyed me here. So, my computer costs $1,000, a bit off topic. I can't play this game on anything higher than 2. It will not let me play this game on anything higher than 2. This is a $1,000 200 computer specifically designed for gaming, graphics, and such like that. And I can't run a fucking mobile game on 5. Now, on higher graphics, it does look a lot like Lost Paradise. I'll say it looks very similar. I could be wrong. I haven't looked at the 5 graphics in a while. But just want to throw it out there real quickly. So going over the roster here, we have I have a pretty decent roster, not fully leveled up, mind you, but I got a pretty decent collection of characters. I'll get to all these people later. So I thought today what I'd start off with Shin, as first antagonist in Fist of the North Star, first character there. How are you guys actually seeing this? Because I'm not really quite sure how you guys are seeing this. So what I thought, I'd go over the abilities, talk about their accuracy, but before I do that, I kind of have to explain how characters are built in this game and what sort of goes into what. So this video might take a little longer than the other videos coming out because this will be your first default setup. So every character has a special technique, which is basically just a special auto attack, a secret technique, which I don't think I need to get into details there, but it's their super move. This is a generic passive among all characters. I can briefly mention if it's accurate or not. And this is a passive that is unique to every character. So, you see here Implacable Greed. Over here, it'll be Pretty Mask of Insanity. Again, same icon, stuff like that. And then they belong to 3 different groups, and then they have their own unique Goki. Now, that's about the extent I'll talk about, along with these 2 characterizations here, because there's not really too much else to talk about. Class levels are generic, leveling up is generic, the other Gokis are generic, 7 stars. I do love the fact that Stellar Intervention is the Death Omen star. I guess I'll put spoilers in the video because I'll probably be talking about spoilers here. And generic, like armor and shit. I guess I could talk about whether or not Conviction is a proper badge for Shin, which it is, as is Affection. These are fine. But yeah, so with that said, I'm gonna try this out, see how this goes. This is my first attempt at doing it, and yeah, all right, let's get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. Oh, actually, wait, hang on one second. Okay, so I just wanted a little refresher on the fight. Okay, so the first one here is the Nanto Power... Well, I guess first let's talk about the tiering. So, super rare. In this game, almost all the star members are super rares. I don't think there's a single star member who's not super rare, actually. Yeah, there's not one that's not super rare. So everyone who can use Nanto or Hokuto becomes super rare, along with a few other named characters like Jackal and Chieftain over here. Heart as well, super rare. But the majority of the star members are going to be super rare. So Shin, obviously belonging super rare, is fine. Now, my thing here is ultra rare started with Souther. Souther was the first ultra rare in the game. So I do agree Shin being below Souther. So I do think for Shin, super rare is fine. Now, they gave Shin the power type. And I actually have to disagree on this one. power type doesn't really make sense to me for Shin. He's not very strong in Fist of the North Star lore to begin with. He was more of a technique-based fighter overall, as are the majority of Nanto fighters. If anything, I would swap out Shin's power type and switch this over to Rei and give technique to Shin. But, you know, that's just my personal opinion. So I personally would not agree with power type, but it's not the worst thing they could have put there. So with that said, let's go over his skills now. We have the Nanto Power Slash. This is just a straight upward slash. I don't think he actually does this. Now, granted, it's not the worst thing to give the Shin, as the Nanto fighter slashes are going to be in his repertoire. But I don't think he ever does an actual, like, the way he does it in the game is he does a backhanded, like, slash. I don't think he ever does that in the actual fight. I just got done rewatching the anime because I can't find a app to work with the manga right now. And in the anime, he does a forward slice that leaves the mark on Kenshiro. Now, I remember Jaggy does the Nanto Power Slash, I believe, but I don't believe Jaggy has this as a special technique. But I remember Jaggy is the one who has a backhanded slice, if I recall correctly. But it's not the worst thing to give the Shin. I don't think he ever does it, but it's not the worst thing to give to him. A straightforward slice would have been better. Or if not, personally, it should have been his execution. It should have been his execution strike he does on Kenshiro. That should have been his special technique, not the Power Slash we have here. Increases own crit rate and crit damage, increased by 20% for 2 turns, or 30% increased crit rate and crit damage by 20%. I'm not quite sure where the self-buffing comes in from, but I'm just going to chalk that one up to just giving him gameplay advantages. He is a crit-based character, which does make sense for the most part, given his more precise Nanto style in comparison to the rest of the Nanto fighters. Next up is the Nanto Infernal Hell Slaughtering Fist. Now, this technique is Shin's most famous technique, so I completely understand why it's here. But it's not his only secret technique in the anime, and even in the manga, if I recall correctly, because I do remember the manga, I just can't pull it up right now. In the manga and in the anime, he has 2 other secret techniques. The Thousand-Headed Dragon Strike, and let me check and see if I can find the name for the last one. Okay, so I can't find the name of it right now, but if I recall correctly, the final attack Kenshiro blocks is part of an ultimate technique from Shin. I do remember that. I can't remember the name of it right now, though. So I understand why they kind of chose the Nanto Infernal Slaughtering Fist, because it is his most iconic move, but I'm hoping we'll get some of the other moves going forward if they ever decide to retrain Shin. A Nanto Goshuken secret technique in which the user leaps high into the air and assails their opponent with a series of vicious kicks, tearing their limbs off at the joints. Now, this is correct. This is a very good description of the attack. My problem is what comes after. So, deals damage in a straight line. Okay, perfectly fine. Increases own crit rate by 40% for 2 turns. Also increases crit rate by 20% for allies in the same row for 2 turns. Where's the debuff? This is an attack where if it lands, cripples its fighter completely. When Kenshiro got this attack done to him, he couldn't even stand up anymore. He couldn't fight anymore. Yet there's no stun, no seal, no debuff on this attack. That's entirely fucking stupid. There should be some sort of stun on this ability. Even a small percentage is fine, even though it should be a guaranteed stun if it lands, but everything lands in this game, so I can kind of understand why not. It just doesn't make sense why the hell it doesn't have any debuff on it. No CC. What is this? You got the description right, and yet your ability doesn't match your own description. I don't even think it does more bleed damage either, ironically enough. And ironically enough, there is a bleed damage called Wound, which should go on this ability, given what it does, that just isn't in Shin's kit. It's on Yuta's kit, but we'll talk about that when we get to Yuta at some point. So yeah, I can't really sit here and say this is a good ability lore-wise. Also, the buffing himself is fine, as I mentioned with the last one. Buffing his team, I don't understand. Shin never did anything for anyone else. In fact, he was kind of a selfish prick, which is why we're gonna get to the passive right now, Implacable Greed, and why I really don't like this passive when it comes to lore. Increases attack power of all of allied Nanto fighters during battle. Now, this is all allied Nanto fighters, so this would also include the Chariot Stars and Nanto Seiken. Because Shin belongs to the 6 Masters of Nanto. This is perfectly accurate. But there is a separate group called Nanto Seiken specifically. I'm assuming this is where they're going to put the other Nanto fighters, of which there's only 2 more left in the series to really go over. Implacable Greed. Now, I'm going to go ahead and look at what implacable means real quickly just to make sure I'm not, fucking wrong on this one. Okay, yeah, so it's unable to be placated, unable to be, like, sated. So his passive is implacable greed, which means unsatiable greed. And this passive, which greed inherently is a selfish thing and is for oneself, is a team boost. Even by the name of the fucking ability, this ability is fucking stupid. Why does a fucking ability that specifically references a singular individual buff the team? And why I understand Nanto fighters because I guess they wanted to give Shin some usefulness, but he really should have just been a self-buffing attack person with this passive. This passive should read attack power boost to Shin, let's say 14.5% or something, just higher than this. Not allied Nanto fighters. Shin doesn't even fucking work with any of the Nanto fighters, let alone talk to half of them. Even in the expanded lore of Fist of the North Star, he doesn't even really work well with the other Nanto members. He doesn't work well with Salder, he doesn't work well with Shu, he doesn't work well with Yuta, and he kidnapped the last Nanto general. I'll put spoilers in the video. So, yeah, he doesn't work well with the other Nanto members. Why the fuck is Implacable Greed buffing Nanto fighters? This belongs on Rei. Another thing I want to point out is why the fuck is his passive Implacable Greed? To clarify here, if we go over here to say Rei's passive, and I'll talk about Rei individually at different points, I just want to make a good comparison. Born under the Star of Righteousness, I think Yuta's is pretty mask of deception, Salder's is Emperor's Body. I'm just saying, I think Shin should have been the Star of Martyrdom for his passive. Just going to be real here, not Implacable Greed. Because while he is greedy, or maybe Implacable Love, Unrelenting Love, I don't know. Yes, he is greedy, but it was more about love, the main focus of his character, and why he did what he did. Not really so much wanting everything. In fact, everything he wanted it specifically to give to Yuria to make her happy. Didn't work, but that's what his goal was. So, maybe Implacable Ambition would have been better, and that would have made more sense here, maybe, but he wasn't really ambitious for Nanto either. Can't really say I'm too pleased on this one. This one here is going to be this one right here just completely misses the mark on all categories. It's a good passive if you're a Nanto player like me, or if you were, because then fucking the North Star got too fucking strong. But by itself and lore-wise, doesn't make a lot of sense. Again, so attack super boost, that's fine. Power increase, these two are generic for all characters. Being attack super boost is fine. Next, we're going to cover his 4 things down here, and then I'll give like a rating out of 10 for where I think lore-wise this character sits. 6 Masters of Nanto, already mentioned, perfectly fine. This is a good choice. Star of Martyrdom, every Nanto 6 Master, or every member of the Nanto 6 has this by themselves, so it's fine. This is the one I kind of don't like, King's Army. Yes, he is king, but I don't think he should have been a member of King's Army. King's Army should be separated from King specifically. I personally think what should have happened here is there should have been a new team group called Beat the Protagonist, or Defeated Kenshiro, or Defeated the Successor to Hokuto, Defeated the Successor, something like that. And it should be Shin and Salder in there. But I guess I kind of understand why they went with what they did. But I do, this kind of ruins Shin a little bit gameplay-wise, because it's an HP boost and everything else, and this is an attack-based character, so it does kind of mess with him. His Go Key is Swift Wind, which just basically allows him to start earlier on with a secret technique. Considering in Shin's multiple encounters, he busts out secret techniques left and right. I think that's perfectly fine. So, on a scale of 10 for lore accuracy, the entire character profile, I'm going to be giving this one a bit of a... I'm going to have to give it a 7 out of 10, personally, because this passive right here has nothing to do with his lore or anything. This one right here is good, and if it had a debuff, I'd give him an 8 out of 10, because this is really his only bad ability choice when it comes to lore. But the no debuff, that's really going to kill him. And the buffing just doesn't make sense. This one doesn't really do it, but it's not like fucking unrealistic to say he can't do it, because it's a slashing as a Nanto fighter. The outfit's also nice too. They did a really good job here on this one. You can... oh, never mind, it goes vertical. So, yeah, I'm going to give Shin a 7 out of 10 for lore accuracy all across the board. I think Shin's actually one of the better lore accuracy characters, which isn't saying a lot for some of the other characters. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for your time as always. Have a nice day. I'll see you guys on the next stream or video. And for context, the reason the streams haven't been happening recently is because I've been kind of getting back in the Dead or Alive consistently. I'm not sick or anything. Just letting you guys know on that one, I'm perfectly fine. There'll be another Mangler video up, I believe, today as well. And we'll finish off DMC5 stuff later. I do have to do another DMC5 video as well, so there will be stuff coming down the pipeline. I am also working on scripts for other videos as well, but, things have just been kind of getting a bit out of hand. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you guys for your time as always, and have a nice day.